Hey guys, it's Mystic. We're going to talk about paths here. This is part of the character creation screen you're looking at. And paths are a little bit interesting. They're a little bit different than what you might be used to when creating a character. So let's talk about paths at a high level. And let's go ahead and talk about like the different types of paths that you can choose. So what are paths? Paths are basically secondary gameplay that fits your playstyle. Each path has unique missions, rewards, and abilities. In total, there are 4 paths that you can be, as you can see on the screen here in front of me. You can be a soldier, a settler, a scientist, and an explorer. Now, let's give a little bit of detail about each one, and then I'll tell you my order of preference from most favorite to least favorite. First up is the explorer. The explorer path is one that basically seems to be kind of similar to the Guild Wars 2 path exploration or points of interest system. This one will kind of see you going around to locations on the map that are usually very high and very remote, and it kind of puts you out of the way in some respects to where other players in the zone may be. Now, the thing about explorers is if you like exploring a map to its entirety, this path might be for you. Additionally, on top of that, explorers also get like these speed boost flags that are in the zone that you can basically run through. Running through them actually gives you a speed boost. That's about a couple seconds, but as you can see in that little video right there, you can actually chain several of these together to actually form a pretty long speed boost for your character. So that helps you kind of move through the zone pretty quickly. So explorers are an interesting class. They're kind of, I think they're going to be like my third in terms of favorites. Now, the next up is the scientist. The scientist is it's a little bit in between explorer and settler. And by that I mean that with the scientist path, you actually get a scan bot. This bot, you can actually customize its look. So that's one thing you can do with it. But what you also can do with this scan bot is, besides scanning like environmental items, like, mobs or like, trees or rocks or things like that, what you also can do with the scan bot is you can actually use it to interact with technology. For example, in this particular case, you see here there's a door and it's basically locked. Well, your scan bot, and being a scientist, actually you can unlock those doors and actually get into places that others can't. So that's actually a pretty interesting perk. There are some quests that you do, and one in particular that I'm thinking of, where you are basically put into an area where you have to kind of remember a sequence of nodes that you have to click on in order to kind of make it through this what seems like a never-ending like cycle of the same scene. If you're a scientist, you can actually see that path to the proper selection of those nodes in a particular order. Otherwise, like the rest of us, we'll have to pull off to the side, pull up a web browser, and actually look at what the sequence should be, and then kind of follow that pattern. Scientists can actually see that pattern and actually cut right through all of that. So it does have its situational abilities or situational positives, but I think the biggest thing for scientists that a lot of people like is the ability to teleport people. So as a scientist, you can teleport your entire group at one time to your location. This is a huge benefit if you're doing like world events and you're randomly asking in chat, hey, does anybody need to do, Metal Ball or, some other world boss? And, people usually join up, but some people don't remember where the boss is located, or it takes them a few minutes to get there. And, well, scientists can actually pull everybody to them. So that's another perk, right? Is that ability to pull everybody towards you. Now, the thing about this perk is that it's actually on a time limit. So once you use it, I think it's like a 20 to 30 minute cooldown. So it's not like something like a Warlock where you can kind of cast it and wait a minute or two and then cast that again, portal. So, think about it's going to be very situational and it's going to be on a cooldown. Now, the thing about Scientist is that this is one of the ones where combining it with like a Stalker class or, with a Stalker class actually has a lot of benefit to it. For example, you can put yourself as a Stalker into stealth, kind of maneuver your way through a particular zone, or if you're in a raid or dungeon, kind of skip a bunch of trash mobs, and then teleport everybody to you, thereby skipping all that content. So there's one little perk to being a scientist and a stalker at the same time. Now, the other class we want to talk about, or a path we want to talk about, is settler. Settlers basically, well, these guys basically build things for the community. Okay, they gather resources in the zone, and they turn those resources into station upgrades. So, for example, right, you gather a bunch of resources, you'll build a, well, let's say a run speed booster, right? So you have a travel booster that basically can boost your run speed for a certain amount of time. And what's the nice thing about this is that if you have enough mats and can actually build a run speed booster tier 2, you actually get a run speed boost. So your base movement speed is increased for about 40 minutes. Now, the other thing that's nice about settlers is that they have the ability to not only build these things for themselves, but for others who are also in the zone as well. But this one is faction limited. So if you're exile and you're at your little area, camp or what have you, and you're building a power-up station, and you build, for example, a run speed booster, well, Dominion characters won't be able to actually interact with that particular node. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But for the most part, settlers, to me, they provide the most benefit to you as a player, especially when you're leveling, and also to others who are also leveling at the same time. So that's settler. The last path is soldier. I think the least effective path, because soldier basically is one that, well, it kind of feels like your leveling process. You're basically asked to do a lot of stand and defend missions. Now, those mechanics are also played out through the leveling process. So certain events you'll have where you activate a particular segment of the quest, and they'll ask you to like defend this particular point against like 3 different waves of mobs. Well, that's exactly kind of like what the soldier path is. Now, there's other benefits to a soldier path, so I'm kind of not giving it justice, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's a lot of unique variety in that gameplay or in that path itself. So for me, I rank soldier probably at the bottom of the list in position 4 out of the possible, selections you can have in your path. Now, let's rank them from my most favorite to my least favorite. Settler for me is the most favorite. Again, the benefits of building power-ups and vending machines and transportation things not only helps you, but it helps the other players in the zone. So I think it's the most rewarding all around. Next up for me is actually scientist, because of that ability to teleport people to you. Third is going to be explorer, because of that run speed boost and being able to kind of see different parts of the map that normally you don't get to see. And finally, soldier. I don't think I have any character with this path selected. Now, one last thing here before I wrap up. All these paths, while you can choose one to start with, these are all going to be accessible to you through the ability of actually unlocking that particular path. So what that will require is it will require some service tokens, and that's another form of currency that we're going to have another video on about currency in WildStar. But don't feel that you're locked into a particular path after you make your selection. So if you choose one, just give it a try, see what you think. If you're not too happy with it, not to worry, you can change it later on. Just get some service tokens, convert those service tokens, unlock a different path, and then begin to actually level that path up. Now, these paths, they do not impact your end game gameplay, right? These are secondary gameplay. So you can choose one and never do your paths, quests, missions, etc. Just have it for the sake of having it. Now, you do have to choose one in this character creation process, but you don't have to actually follow through and actually doing those missions. Or you can and kind of experience the secondary portion of the gameplay through these paths. So this is paths in WildStar for 2018. Nothing's really changed with them, except now you can actually do all of the paths with one character through an unlock process. So these are paths. I hope you found this part a little bit helpful. And if you guys have any questions or anything, like I said, I stream on Twitch. My page or my site is Mystic813 on Twitch. So Twitch TV / Mystic813. It's MYSTIK 813. I stream. I stream almost every day, doing WildStar stuff. So you can usually find me streaming, or you find me in game. And if you have any questions or anything, just hit me up in game or hop on my stream and let me know. And if I'm not there, just drop me a note either on the YouTube page or just send me a Twitch PM, and I will respond from there. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this a little bit helpful, and look forward to some more videos on this. Thanks, guys, and I hope you guys are having a good time, WildStar.